How to Blow Up a Pipeline hits theaters on April 7th. I was lucky enough to get access to an early screening, and I can confidently say this is one of my favorite films of 2023 so far. I also had the privilege of interviewing the main star who also executive produced and wrote the movie herself, Ariela Barer, as well as her co-stars Lukas Gage and Sasha Lane. These are my first ever interviews in the movie industry. I'm quite nervous to share them with you all, but I really hope you enjoy those because they were really a treat to talk to and I had a great time with it. Now at this point in the year, I've seen about 60 new releases of 2023 and I can confidently say How to Blow Up a Pipeline lands firmly in my top 10 of the year so far. This movie is a tense, edge of your seat, thrilling race against the ticking bomb of a clock and has you holding your breath until the very end of this movie. It's told in a non-linear fashion here and it follows this group of activists who otherwise would be pretty disconnected. You wouldn't really see these people walking together in the same walks of life. However, they each have their own specific and unique reasons for being together and taking action against the oil industry. Now, obviously, a movie with a title like this and a plot like this is going to be very politically charged, but I think that's where How to Blow Up a Pipeline succeeds the most. It's able to have such a politically charged, environmental, eco-friendly message while never feeling like it's hitting you over the head with it. This movie remains just genuinely enjoyable as a thriller without ever making you feel like you're being preached to. All of the performances are powerfully committed, and my two favorite things from a technical side of this movie are the musical score and the editing, because both of those aspects of this movie really do a great job at building the tension and making you just feel so uneasy throughout the entire runtime. Alright, enough of my thoughts on the movie. Let's jump into my interviews now with the cast of How to Blow Up a Pipeline before I cap off this review with my overall rating for the movie. First interview of the day was with Ariela Barer, who just at 24 years old has already made such an impact on the movie industry. She wrote this movie, she produced this movie, she was the main star of this movie. She's also been in movies such as The Ultimate Playlist of Noise, she's in the series Marvel's Runaways, the Saved by the Bell reboot, and so much more. So without further ado, here's my first ever interview with anyone in the movie industry, Ariela Barer. Ariela, first off, congratulations on the upcoming release of this film. How are you doing today, first of all? I know we have a tight schedule, but I want to get a gauge of, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm tired, but this is my first interview of the day, so
Okay.
you might get some really off the cuff tired thoughts. So
Okay. Well,
let's go clickbait.
with that, so you're the main star of this film. You're kind of the leader of this diverse, mission-driven group, but you also wrote and produced this film. So huge congratulations for all that. What does spearheading a movie like this mean to you? Because it's all about fighting for what you believe in by really any means necessary. Strong message. What does this mean to you personally?
I mean, this movie to me personally, it came to me at a time where I felt very sort of disempowered in my life and my career, and I think Danny felt the same way. And we as a group, Jordan, Danny, and I kind of had the idea to make this movie and started the process of making this movie. And something we actually haven't talked a lot about in interviews, but it kind of lends itself to your question is when we started kind of taking this out, we were just talking to anyone who wanted to hear about it. And the amount of filmmakers we talked to who were like, I had an environmental project that just died. Like, no one would give this money. No one would do this. No one wanted this radical kind of message out there. And that kind of really, it emboldened us to be like, okay, there's something, even we have to kind of push through to make this movie with everything we have, because no matter how it turns out, if this could even let other filmmakers who even maybe disagree with us, but have their version that they want to make of this movie, if this opens up a new door for a type of film that could be made, that would be the dream. And I really hope that this kind of does something for filmmakers and activists and artists everywhere who want to do something like this themselves.
Awesome. Well, I think it turned out great because you're taking a nonfiction piece of work by Andreas Malm and you turned it into a tense, thrilling movie. And I thought it really all came together great. So I'm wondering, you writing this screenplay, how difficult was it writing the screenplay, trying to balance the line between being didactic and trying to preach the message while also being, edgy, controversial, cinematic? I feel like it's got to be kind of a tense line to kind of balance between.
We definitely did not have to try to be controversial. There was a very natural edge to the subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of balancing the political language without hitting that overly didactic sort of wall that alienates people, that's no longer fun to watch, that was actually one of the biggest struggles of the movie. And we didn't really land on anything good until a week before we picture locked and a month before we premiered at TIFF. We had already gotten into TIFF without an ending because we didn't know what this final message had to be. We had to find it. And we cut a whole minute out of the movie a week before, just in, I think, partially the library scene, because having characters just talk about politics is one of the hardest things to balance. But we found ultimately that our discussions that we were having in the room while we were writing this, this push and pull that we were having about what was responsible, what was crossing a line, or at what point is it all just justified, that when kind of supported by character circumstances and relationships is on its own so compelling to watch, that part of the movie kind of just came almost, not, it wasn't easy, but that kind of just came out of us really, really quickly.
Of course, great. Well, congratulations on the movie. I think it came together amazingly. You were brilliant in it. I'm very excited to see more projects you're both starring in, as well as if you want to keep writing movies in the future, I will definitely be watching them. So I know you have a ton of other interviews today, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. What a lovely way to start the day.
Have a great day. Thank you, Ariel. All right, that concludes my first ever interview within the movie industry. I was quite nervous about it, but I ended up being very happy with how it turned out. Ariela was an absolute treat to talk to. My second interview of the day was with Lukas Gage, who is simply just one of the most booked and busy young actors coming up working today. You've seen him in You, The White Lotus, Euphoria, American Vandal, the Fargo TV series, Gossip Girl, Moonshot, and so much more. This man has so many projects each and every single year. One of the greatest talents we have working today. Here's my interview with him. First off, I just want to say congratulations on the upcoming wide release of this film. I just watched it last night, and I can't wait for everyone to experience this. It's tense, thrilling, action-packed. I was not prepared for how on the edge of my seat I was going to be for it, but with this film having such a strong environmental and political message to it, and just standing up for what you believe in no matter what the cost, what does being a part of a film this powerful mean to you?
Great question, and thank you for that. I'm a huge fan of the film as well. I think it's very, very cool to be a part of something that brings up a discussion of conversation about what kind of tactics we can do to avert this climate apocalypse that we're all in. I think it's really really cool to be a part of something that's shedding light on something, but also not shoving any idea down our throats and pushing an agenda on you. I think like the title of the film and the book can be a little bit misleading. We're not ever teaching anyone how to blow up a pipeline, but sometimes we got to go in hard with a title that makes people open their eyes and ask questions and dig into what this thing is really about.
Yeah, definitely. I think the movie did a really great job at going down that fine line of being, cinematic, thrilling, and action-packed while also having that strong message to it. So in this movie, you play Logan, who has sort of a Bonnie and Clyde-esque relationship with Rowan, played by Christine Froseth, and together get involved in Sochi's plot to, as the name suggests, like you mentioned, blow up a pipeline. What was it like working with such a diverse and talented cast of young actors and actresses on this movie?
Yeah, I mean, I was such a big fan of Christine. I thought she was amazing in Sharpstick. I was dying to work with her. I was such a fan of Sasha Lane and American Honey. I was a huge fan of Forrest, and the whole cast is incredible. And so to go toe to toe with these other artists that I really admire, and I think that are doing other really cool indie films that are also shedding very important messages, like the Miseducation of Cameron Post with Sasha and Forrest, like they are making a difference, but doing it in an exciting, fun way. And I wanted to be a part of that. And it was an honor to work with them.
Awesome. A little different question here. So your character Logan wears an awesome jacket, in my opinion, throughout the movie. It's like a denim, leather, raggedy hybrid. When shooting is wrapped, do you get to keep that jacket or like anything from set? Because like I just couldn't get over that jacket you're wearing the whole time. I thought it was so sweet.
No, I love that jacket too. I think that the wardrobe designer might have kept it for herself. And honestly, I don't blame her. That is a damn good jacket. And she made it herself. So if anyone deserves to keep it, it's her. But God, I really, really wanted that jacket. It's so good.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Yeah, it definitely looked like a custom piece. So that's awesome that she made it. That was catching my eye the whole movie. So last thing I'll give to you is, what's the main takeaway you hope people get from this film when they see it? We talked a little bit earlier about how, with the name and being based on the nonfiction activist book, can be a little incendiary off the bat. But what's the overall takeaway you hope people get from this film? That's, an action thriller, but also obviously has that strong message behind it.
Yeah, I think it's an action thriller, like you said, that's exciting and fun and talks about very important issues. And maybe the important message that I want people to get across for me personally is pacifism versus sabotage, and intelligent sabotage, that there's the blurred morality of property destruction. And, we're not advocating for anyone to go out there and blow up pipelines, but also it's also an extreme danger to be as passive as we all are, especially in the US, especially we are the world's top producer of oil and gas. We are a bit behind than other countries and things that we have done to stop the rate of how quickly it's been changing. I think that it's, not to get too dark, but I think that we are too far gone to reverse anything that's going on. But I think that we can definitely slow down and all do anything that we can to shed light on it, to help out in different ways, and just to continue the discussion that maybe some of the places that our Congress has let us down or tried to ignore us. And I think that we need to step up and be heard and be seen, but also we can do it in a fun, exciting way. It's like a crazy indie heist movie.
Yeah, I think you absolutely nailed it on the head there, because like you said, there's just so much that goes in this movie and so many messages that need to be talked about. But the way you come across in doing this is it's a fun, digestible way for people to be able to watch while also getting across that message. But I know you got plenty of other interviews to do today, so I want to thank you for your time. Lukas, you're one of the brightest actors we have today, and I can't wait to see you in more stuff coming up. And I'm really excited for everyone to be able to see this film.
Tyler, thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. You have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Bye.
And that wraps up my interview with Lukas Gage. Fun fact, I forgot to press record on my end for this interview. So immediately after I wrapped up filming this interview, I went into a full-blown panic attack thinking I just lost that footage of that interview forever. Thankfully, Neon on their end was recording the Zoom session, was able to provide me with the video. So if the audio quality sounded different, just know that's why. Crisis averted, but that was incredibly stressful. Now, my final interview of the day is with Sasha Lane, who plays Theo on How to Blow Up a Pipeline. Now, she was a star and came on the scene from 2016's American Honey, which was distributed by A24, and I think is one of the more underrated A24 gems out there. She was incredible in it. She's also been in Marvel's Loki series. She was in the latest Hellboy. So without further ado, here's Sasha Lane. How's it going? How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty solid. How are you?
Doing well. Congratulations on the film. I got a chance to watch it last night. You are absolutely amazing in it. Your character, you play Theo, who's battling with advanced chronic myeloid leukemia, which is a rare form of cancer, more common near oil refineries. And you're really just trying to struggle, and you're struggling with coping with that diagnosis and how to ultimately take action about it. How do you go about putting yourself in the headspace to play a character going through something like that and then being motivated to go as far as blowing up an oil pipeline?
Good question. I guess I kind of like, I guess I had like an overall feeling of like my purpose in the film itself of like, okay, this is like a kind of, you're struggling with something that hits close to home clearly. And it's like a productive revenge. And with that, then you go to, I don't really have anything to lose. And so she's just kind of like, I think just down for the ride, knowing that the end game is a good way to go out. And I think once you're that, and when you're filming on location and you're doing an indie, you kind of really just get thrown into that energy anyways. So I think it helps kind of just keep you in the space you're locked in.
Awesome. And I know this film was filmed in several different states, but with the actual setting of this movie mostly taking place in Texas, which is where you were born and lived most of your early life, did that add any extra level of personal connection to this film or not really?
It's more of like a, they're gonna hate me. Like we have like a whole group chat of like, oh, okay, like the UK likes it, like Europe likes it. And we're like, Texas ain't gonna like this. So I think maybe that adds also a bit of like a little evil giggle in me that just makes it, I'm like, I get it. I feel you. It's people are going to have two opposite feelings towards this. So I think that's exciting. I like it being uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of uncomfortable, just from the title of the book is based on, and the movie alone, How to Blow Up a Pipeline. Obviously has to straddle a very delicate balance of being incendiary and controversial while also being, shedding light and giving voice to real, true issues. What do you kind of hope this movie, people take away from it in terms of utilizing their own voice for actions of change for whatever cause that they want to speak out against?
I think recognizing that it doesn't look one way, I think the really good thing about this film is that there's 8 of us, right, who in normal terms would never be around each other. We'd never hang out. The interests aren't the same, personalities aren't the same, the backgrounds, and even the reasonings of why each of us are attempting to blow up this pipeline and are on the journey in the first place are all so different, even though once again the end goal is the same. And I think with everything going on, and that's been going on forever, it's nice to think in a way of like, you don't have to be the pipeline blower upper to be a part of something. Everyone has their roles, and instead of saying I can't do that, so I'm just going to ignore this issue, you can kind of find like an area in a realm that makes you comfortable and that makes you feel like you have a place in something that is more important than just yourself. And so I think that's what I really like about the differences in the people that are all together doing this one thing.
Awesome. Yeah, I totally agree, because obviously not every person has to speak up by, blowing up something for what they believe in, but that's exactly the takeaway from this movie, is that there's so many different ways to be able to elevate your voice, and no matter what background you come from, you're going to be able to speak up and take charge for what you believe in. So
yeah.
The creation of this movie, at least from interviews I saw from TIFF, has often been described as like a whirlwind or a sprint, going from its ideation and creation to finally premiering at TIFF last year. Do you have a specific memory or something you look back on from filming this movie that you look very fondly on as a part of building this movie?
I think I could describe it as, because it would take about an hour and a half to and from the location that we were filming at, and we weren't even technically supposed to be there, and we couldn't really tell people what we were filming. And we all as a cast, I think, are mostly a bunch of people that it's like wouldn't be interacting but are also here for this purpose. And I think we all were, it was chaotic to film this, and what we were filming, how it started, all the circumstances, and also all of us saying, I don't know if this is actually going to become anything. We could fail miserably, kind of just like them actually trying to blow up a pipeline. This could go horribly wrong, or this could go perfect. This could go exactly as the way we wanted it to. But so when you're in that van ride and you're after a day's work and you're just sitting there going, I don't know what we just did. I don't know how to feel. And we're all strangers in a car going, shit, we did that. All right. So tomorrow's another day. We'll see how that goes. There's just something about that, like kind of bonding over all of us making this chaotic decision to follow through with this film and try to make it happen.
Totally. And that totally goes to what you were saying earlier about the characters in this movie themselves are all people who wouldn't normally come together except for this one, stance they're trying to take. And that kind of sounds like what you're describing with the cast itself. You're all kind of jumping in a van and going to do something together. I know some people on the cast have been in projects together before, but for the most part, you were all just young working actors that all got together to make this movie. And definitely sounds like it has a very cool indie vibe, because it is an indie film. And I know you've had a range at this point in your career of from indie to non-indie, but like you were saying, is there something that really excites you about doing these indie films where you never know what's going to come of it? Or is that just like an added stress and anxiety that can sometimes be a little overwhelming?
It's a little bit of both, but I think that's why, like, I'll always have a place in my heart for indie. I'll always prefer it because it kind of pushes you out of your comfort zone. And I think what Andrea taught me in doing American Honey and by watching her is like, there's just, when you can accept chaos and try to find the beauty in it, and take the anxieties and take the fears and take the unknowns, usually something pretty incredible can happen. Or if not, you still have hell experiences and stories to tell. And you just kind of jumping in. I like the fear factor of it, of just jumping into something purely off of gut and going for it and not really knowing what the outcome is going to be, because we don't really care about the producer said this and this and this is how we're setting it up and it's all neat and it's tied perfect. No, it's just messy chaos, and our end goal is to hopefully finish.
Yeah, of course. And of course, this movie comes out in theaters in just a couple weeks. It premiered, though, at TIFF last year. When was the first time you were able to see this come together? Because as you said, like, you never know what's coming of this. When did you finally get to see that final cut that was edited into this tense thriller action story of environmental revenge?
I think it was, I guess maybe sometime before September last year. All these years are blending because we did this in like 2021. And I remember I'd been filming in New York. So yeah, it was last year. And it was hilarious because me and Forrest, the whole time we'd always make these looks of like, what are we doing? Is this gonna work? Like, I don't know. And so being able to see the final cut and be like, I texted him, I was like, yo, I think we did a little something here. And he's like, I actually think we made a movie. And that was a really like, okay, it worked. It worked. Hands off, it worked. Like,
Yes.
all right.
You definitely did make a movie, and it turned out to be incredible, and I can't wait for people to see it once it comes out in theaters. But I know you're on a tight schedule today. I just want to say thank you again for taking the time to talk with me, from seeing you in American Honey in 2016 to now in 2023 with How to Blow Up a Pipeline. Just seeing your career progress has been amazing, and I cannot wait to see what you do in the future and what the future has in store for you. So have a great weekend. There you go. That concludes my first ever day of movie interviews. It was a wild day. I was given 5 to 10 minutes to talk to each person. I just jumped in on a Zoom call. There's a little bit of banter, and then we just got right into it. All these interviews, while they were only like 5 to 7 minutes each, were spaced out about 2.5 hours. So it was a long day of me just sitting at my computer, being nervous, prepping, waiting for the next one. I was full of nerves the entire time, but I'm very happy I did it because Ariela, Lukas, and Sasha were just great to talk to, and I really hope you enjoyed those interviews. To wrap up this review, I just want to say that if you love thrillers, then you absolutely have to check this one out. It's about as tight and intense as it gets. My official score is an 8.3 out of 10 for 4 out of 5 stars, and it is undoubtedly one of the best of 2023. Let me know what you thought about this review and my interviews with the cast of How to Blow Up a Pipeline. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Give me some feedback in the comments section because I do really want to improve on my interviewing game. Trust me, I know from watching those back, I already know a dozen things plus that I could be working on to improve for the next ones. But still, let me know if you enjoyed. Hit that like button, tick that subscribe button, and I'll see you on Friday with my next video.